Good day, attendees. We welcome you to the webinar. In 2 minutes at our scheduled time at 12 noon ET, we'll be starting with the session, waiting for a few more guests to join in. Thank you, but in the meantime, you can enjoy the video.
RDRisk fraud detection is AI-enabled solution for anomaly detection and prevention that combine traditional statistical models and deep neural networks to make transaction-level predictions that are robust to variations in data points. What goes inside the tool is customer profile, financial data, online sale, applications, support calls, and network data for the given demography. RDRisk, the fraud detector AI ML engine, the data from document with key mentions of detection, prediction, prevention, and workflow integration.
Okay, a very warm welcome to all of you, and it is my pleasure to be your host for today. I'm Syed, Manager in Data Analytics from Moritech. I'll be moderating this session and taking you through the journey of RDRisk. This session is all about real-time fraud detection with RDRisk. It's an AI-powered inconsistency detection software as a service tool. Our speaker for today and subject matter expert in this area are Mr. Jeffrey Gilton, Senior Vice President, Technology from Service Credit Union, and Mr. Praveen Kola, Vice President, Data Engineering and Data Science from Moritech. Let me give you a brief about us. Moritech is established in year 2005, evolved as a trusted global enterprise technology solution provider for our customer from various industries across the globe, helping them transform to an intelligent enterprise. As a lead innovator of next generation AI solution, we bring AuraSuite.ai to help businesses excel in their digital transformation journey. Before we proceed further, as part of this webinar, we'll be conducting 2 poll rounds of 30 seconds each. We'll really appreciate if we have participation from you all. The question and answer session is towards the end of the webinar. I'll really appreciate if you guys can post your questions in the Q&A box. We'll try to address them all. Also, we'll be announcing a raffle draw winner on our LinkedIn page tomorrow, that is 25th February 2021. You are invited to stay updated with Moritech services and product offerings on our LinkedIn page. We'll share the link in the chat box. Please like the content while following us. And finally, as a giveaway for this exclusive webinar, all participants are eligible for experiencing RDRisk product with your own data set for 2 weeks. Please contact us at enquiry@moritech.com or visit our website www.moritech.com. With that said, let me introduce what is RDRisk. This is actually to help business detect, prevent, and manage data fraud. AI-powered DRisk helps spotting anomalies in real time by identifying the worst case scenarios with an accuracy of 95% or above. DRisk is an enterprise-grade solution that caters to speed, scale, and maintain accuracy in real time. Mr. Jeffrey Gilton will be talking about digital experience and fraud concerns. Before that, let me start the first poll round. I hope the poll is active now. Remember, it's just a 30-second poll, so I'd really appreciate if we have some answers. It's multiple choices. Okay, I don't see much results going in, so I'd really appreciate if more participation is there. It's a quick one, it's just 30 seconds. Okay, 5 more seconds and we'll close this. All right, thank you. I'll be sharing the results now. Thank you so much for attending the poll. Okay. So with this, let me invite Mr. Jeffrey Gilton, our guest speaker. Jeff is technology executive, driving digital transformation strategies in Service Credit Union. Service Credit Union is one of Moritech's key customer. We collaborate with them on various business transformation initiatives. Jeff will be talking about how critical it is to ensure a fraud-free digital ecosystem in financial business. Over to you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Saeed. Welcome to the webinar. So on the next slide, I'll be talking about financial services, specifically credit unions and the criticality of member experience to driving exceptional member service. With increasing digital engagement, members improve member experience. And really, digital member servicing is table stakes in today's market. And increasing member education about cyber and fraud is critical to driving the digital adoption and minimizing fraud across various types of fraud. On the next slide, I'll talk about how we're enabling digital experiences. So here at the credit union, our vision is to have a mobile-first hybrid cloud-based service delivery platform, really driving self-service with no digital dead ends, automation, standardization, and data-driven analytics. In order to achieve that, we need to digitize the enterprise so that we can reduce the cycle times to achieve and accelerate innovation across the process, enterprise-wide process. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacts on fraud and digital adoption. Fraud is on the rise. Financial institution fraud, small business administration loan fraud, especially with PPP loan applications, unemployment insurance fraud. But at the same time, we're seeing a significant increase in digital adoption. The pandemic has driven consumers and members to desire a contactless and digital experience, not only in branches, but across the economy. Now, questions do remain whether this digital adoption will persist beyond the pandemic. But certainly, we're seeing a significant increase in digital adoption. Then on the next slide, I'll talk about balancing digital and fraud. Really, the fraudsters, it's an arms race between fraudsters applying, more sophisticated schemes and increased capabilities. And then financial institutions, credit unions increasingly adopting more sophisticated technology to address the fraud schemes. Digitization really enables us to increase the aperture and resolution of our fraud detection. And really, the key is to increase prediction fidelity, because the more we can understand the broader data inputs and at the same time be more precise about identifying fraud and cyber risks, we can mitigate fraud concerns without increasing costs. And currently today, AI is a viable way to augment the capabilities of our fraud teams. And thank you for your time. And back to you, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff. This really demonstrates how important it is for organization to handle fraud situation. It is better to be early than late. leveraging AI and machine learning techniques into this area can help organization gain a better customer experience. Please note that the Q&A session is towards the end. So if you have any questions for Jeff, feel free to post them in Q&A box, not the chat box. We'll be addressing them all. It is now time to see how Moritix or RDRisk is modeling to support and secure the digital journey for customers. Before that, before I present our next speaker, next presenter and our product owner, we'll take another poll here. It will be a quick poll again for 30 seconds. I hope the poll is live now. Multiple choices again. I can see some participation in, but would really appreciate if you can do some participation. We're 15 seconds through, so yeah, I can see some more. That's really good. That's really good. 5 more seconds and we'll close the participation for the poll. Okay, thank you so much again. Thank you for participating. Let me share the results here. Okay, with that said, the presenter for the next session is Mr. Praveen Kola, Vice President, Data Engineering and Data Science from Moritech. He is helping organization with enterprise AI adoption. With his leadership at Moritech, we bring AuraSuite.ai, a suite of enterprise AI solution to accelerate digital journey for our customers. Over to you, Praveen. Thank you.
Thank you, Syed. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Today, I'm going to present our solution, SaaS solution, DRisk. And before that, let's give some background about how we are solving this problem to begin with. I'm going to share my screen, and you should be able to see. Syed, please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen, Praveen.
Today, we are going to talk about anomaly detection and how the industry is being bombarded with various frauds and anomalies, irrespective of the transactions, irrespective of the domain. We are going to go a little bit more deeper into this presentation. So what we are talking about, we are talking about fighting frauds, and it is a never-ending battle. As you all know that there are a lot of online activity increased, especially during the pandemic, and that also increased the online frauds. That also increased the frauds in any transactions, whether it is financials or whether it is insurance claims or anything that sort of. Especially we have seen this increase from last 2 years, and it jumped even higher in 2021 and so forth. So I'm going to present quickly a survey that PwC has done in 2020, which is just 4 months ago. 5,000 plus respondents participated here, and 62% of them are from the C-suite, 72% are bigger companies, 99 territories across the world. And what is the outcome of it is there is a 42 billion staggering losses that has been recorded just during the pandemic. This is the right, recent information that we are learning. 47% experienced fraud in last 24 months. And this is the second highest in the past 20 years, based on the stats we have. And majority of the companies are saying that they have at least 6 incidents of the frauds in last, in the last 24 months. And the most of them, the 4 top ones are like, customer frauds. And customer frauds can be anywhere when the customers are interacting as a part of the business transactions. Cybercrime, asset misappropriations, and of course, other kinds of frauds. This particular slide talks about which industries are heavily impacted, and as you see that pretty much everybody is impacted with these online frauds and the various kinds of anomalies. The ones that is highlighting that I would say the spotlight goes here is on the financial services, where there is a 27% is coming from the customer frauds. And that also leaves, other industries also having the similar boat. For instance, if you take the, health industry, there is 13%. There are certain things that, the data can solve, the technology can solve, whereas certain things we cannot solve unless the business process is changed. So we are fishing for those opportunities where data can solve the problems with advanced techniques like artificial intelligence and machine learning and so forth. At the same time, this outcome says that companies who have invested in the fraud prevention, whether it is a rule-based, whether it is some kind of fraud prevention program, whether it is advanced techniques, they have seen a dramatic reduction in the cost that incurs to fight with this fraud. Whether the 42% in decrease in the responding to a fraud, because there is a lot of false positives, false negatives. You don't know which one is a good one, which one is a bad transactions. A lot of, the cost is incurred during that time. That is reduced to 42%. The second one is the remediating. Okay, once you understand how fast you can act on it, that is the second thing. That there's a 17% reduction in cost there. And finally, not bombarding with too many fines and penalties, that there is a reduction in 16% and 58% of COEs of the bigger companies and all kinds of coming from all kinds of industries. They are saying that they are not ready for this crisis. Simply the business is not ready for this. Now, how are we solving this problem? First, in order to solve the problem, we need to understand the root cause. The traditional approaches are not helping. The fraudsters are actually using AI. That is what we are understanding. To commit a fraud. And many digital scenarios, because of the pandemic, and now we are also buying the groceries online. A lot of that brings a lot of challenges with the false positives and negatives. What are the industry trends? We're not saying that there is no fraud prevention, but it all started with the rule-based and then slight, statistical and light ML. Now there is an opportunity with the real artificial intelligence, embedding the neural nets and so on and so forth. That is where we come in and say AI can help with the real-time behavioral profiling, I would say, supervised machine learning, especially if you already know what is fraud and not fraud from your data, what is anomaly, not anomaly, the supervised models can learn from that and can give a better results. And also unsupervised, that is where we are excelling with our product, the unsupervised machine learning models. Here, we are trying to get, most of the times, the business comes, we don't know what we don't know, which one is fraud and which one is not fraud. We have unlabeled data. The supervised models can find the needle in the haystack. And the third important one is the constant learning, constant feedback, human in the loop, and telling which one is accurate and which one is not accurate. So we have taken these root causes and we're trying to solve with AI. And in this journey, we introduced the RDRisk, which is our SaaS product, which is there in the marketplace since more than 12 months. And it is been time tested with the various industry scenarios. And this product of ours, DRisk, helps to detect, prevent, and manage the fraud in real time. While the fraud is happening, it actually can detect it. We have the framework to do that. And our pre-trained models and highly sophisticated unsupervised models can able to achieve this high-speed real-time detection and the accuracy. And we are seeing the accuracy results up to 95% as these models are learning. And we are serving the various industries, telecommunications, e-commerce, banking, insurance, and healthcare. Some of the key features, it is very simple to set up. The framework is already there. You need not to buy any licenses or anything. Anomaly detection, this is all a SaaS, real time. Our high performing in-memory clusters can process these hundreds and thousands of data coming every minute. Automatic detection with zero training in certain cases because you don't have labels, and our unsupervised models can be able to take care of that. Highly scalable, start small and scale up and bring more scenarios, and it learn on top of it. Industry specific models, we have a library of pre-built AI that can be taken into account and get to start running right away with fraud detection. And of course, we can integrate into your monitoring systems. If the risk scores are high, for instance, you can shut down a process or block an account right away. How it works in a very layman term, we ingest various information, whether that data has a label with proper features and everything. Otherwise, there is a um, uh, actually a framework of doing the feature engineering with for certain industries. So we bring that information right away to the business. Now that information which is being collected will be ingested into our AI engine, and the output can be used either to detect or predict and prevent the fraud. There are out-of-box solutions we have already developed, tested, and deployed in productions, detecting the fraudulent insurance claim, credit card fraud detection. We have a model for the medical claims, prepaid telecom and telecom card fraud. This is mainly the prepaid telecom is about making the fraudulent calls, hacking some other's accounts, and so forth. E-commerce, any online transactions, any company that are doing online transactions, buy or sell, that can be monitored, and bank loan application defaulter detection is also, we have the models for that. And today, I'm going to take a few minutes to demo a scenario. The demo scenario goes like this. We have permission to show this this particular demo from one of our companies that we are implementing. We have removed all the accounts and any sophisticated information, any data privacy that has been masked. The scenario is this. This company is similar to like a PayPal, kind of a online money transfer. They handle online money transfers. You have originator account, you have a destination account. Money goes from one account to other account. If in a perfect world, it should work, right? But in the world that we are living today, you see how many varieties of frauds that are happening with the simple money transactions. And the type of transactions that happens in this case are two types. Either it is a money transfer from one place to another place, or the cash out. You can also have a card that simple credit card kind of, the people can cash out their money, which is all legitimate. But what happens if a fraudster comes into the scene, then the whole thing will be a different world. So we're going to demo that scenario, and then we can take some questions after that. So with that, let me move to the RDRisk application. What you're seeing on the screen is our RDRisk landing page. We have a AI model library, both supervised and unsupervised, and these growing models we are adding as and when it is time tested and deployed, then only we are adding those models here right away. What you're seeing is a simple, in a business language, how a financial fraud can be handled with an unsupervised model. And as I was mentioning before, unsupervised model is nothing but you don't know what is the fraud sitting in your data. That means the data is not labeled. When we say label, it is very simple. A transaction is labeled as a fraud or not fraud, as simple as that. And you don't know that. That is where the unsupervised comes. We use machine learning and also combined with your business rules and get the the most output out of it. Then what happens, the way we do this is as simple as we tell our customers, bring your data and just ingest that data to these either our supervised models, which already know certain business scenarios, or unsupervised models. So let me show you few things here. In the model management, I will there are two ways that the model management have. One is the supervised and unsupervised. Let me go to the place where we have the model. I already opened for the to save some time. This is an unsupervised model. And this unsupervised model, what I'm trying to do in this case is the same demo scenario I was talking about. I'm going to I'm going to create a model, and I'm going to select what type of model I want that is unsupervised. This is detecting frauds from finance transactions. And there is a way to upload the data for the, everything goes on the cloud. When we upload the data, we could also review the, preview the data really quick, how the data is coming. So this data, what we are seeing now is simply explain the step is the hour that the transaction is taking place, the transaction type, 0 is for cash out and 1 for online transfers, and other information is your originating account and your destination account. We'll go a little bit more deeper into this data. The moment we load the data, and the system is smart enough to do the ETA right away, which is the exploratory data analysis. And of course, there is a data mapping exercise also. We will show you that in a minute. Based on little mapping, the system will understand what are the important features and what are the various timelines, like if it is a time series data and so forth. It put a simple data analysis. And now why we need a data analysis? Even before we run any predictions on this data, anomaly detections on this data, we need to know whether there is any correlations, whether the data is making sense to the model. Otherwise, we'll stop at this place, right? What you're seeing on this is number of transactions happen in the 24-hour period. And these are the various online transactions, money transfers, and at what hour they are picking out. And this graph is showing what type of transactions, the cash outs on the light blue, and the dark blue is the money transfers. This is the correlation plot. These are the various features that are coming from the data, whether it is the amount, account, origination account, error balance, and so forth. And what this chart, without going much deeper into it, and trying to find out whether there is any correlations, whether the data has any strength in it. These little bubbles shows that there is some strong correlations between various data types that you have. If you see one simple diagonal line, no other bubbles or dots, that means the data is not something relevant for fraud detection at all. There may be something is missing, or maybe you need more columns or more data points from the business. And this is a simple trend graph that is showing for a 200 hours worth of transactions, how the data is trending, how your business is actually transacting at a given point of time. And these these waves of data is coming because of the various events. Maybe there is a online transaction is more because of a certain time of the season, whether it is a Christmas shopping and so on and so forth, and all the transactions here. Now, this part is just a data analysis. We are not done any further fraud detection or anything. We're just understanding the data. Once the data is understood, based on the EDA results, we can do further mapping here. The data that is coming, we can either, let's say you have the business data is having like 20 columns. Out of 20 columns, 5 columns are noise. You don't want them to the model to read and trying to find out what is happening. So the data mapping exercise can help to what columns to be mapped for your model. We already mapped it for the for the best interest of time. And then the next part goes is the prediction. This is where you can bring the data that is the system not yet seen completely, and upload the data, and you can upload any file that you already mapped. So we already uploaded this data for the demo purpose here. And once you hit the prediction, then the system will be getting the anomalies that it is trying to find out without any training. So we have run the predictions for before we started this session too, because when we run the predictions, it will take about, based on the data set, it will take anywhere 30 seconds to 90 seconds. The best interest of time, I have run this, and I would like to show what would be the output that generally it is giving based on the data that we have predicted. So this is a kind of the entire range of the transactions that are happening in the first 200 hours, that the information that we have received. The way we need to read, there is a anomaly scores. The negative is the bad one, and the lighter blue is the okay one. So that is how we need to interpret. If you see here, what this is showing with this kind of the plot that we are seeing here, there is a big blobs of transactions which are legitimate. That those are the times that the business is active and the people are actually transacting within the system. But there are places where it is very quiet, and still the fraudulent transactions are evenly distributed across the in the timeline. That is one observation we are making. Now we need to also understand why the system is saying they are fraudulent. So let's go and find out. One transaction that I would like to pick is, let's say, let me pick this one blue one here. And it is saying that this transaction, the amount that is transferred is supposed to be 200K or 2 million in this case. But the simple thing is, you have a certain amount in your account, and you are transferring that amount. The actual balance in this amount is only 500K, but you are trying to move 2 million as a money transfer. So the system spotted that as an anomaly. How that can happen? You don't have that amount in your balance, and you are moving that to a destination account, and that is actually spotted as one of the anomalies there. Let me pick up one more to see why it is also picking up as an anomaly. In this case, the money did not receive. So the first case, you are actually moved money which you don't have. The second case is you are moving this particular transaction, you're moving one or maybe $10 million in this case, but the closing balance is still zero. I mean, or negative. That means money lost somewhere. It just lost in the translation, just disappeared. Let me pull one more. In this case, there is a small amount, $28, that is being transferred. The destination account is zero. The destination account should receive at least the $28. It's completely blank. These are the indications. They're testing out. The fraudster testing with the small amounts, unnoticed. And then they make a bigger transactions after that. So this is what the anomaly detection, without any labeling, without any training, it is trying to find out. These are the unsupervised models. This is anomaly distribution of scores. How this is like the score bins we call, and the negative scores are the ones which, if I am the monitoring this fraud, I need to be worried about the negative ones. Now here, let me pick up one negative one. And try to figure out if there is anything that I need to worry about, right? So I'm picking up one with a -2 as a negative score, and which is basically having a lot of fraudulent transactions. That is what this unsupervised model is saying here. Here, let me pick up this one. This happened at the 7th hour of a given day of transactions. The amount that you are transferring is about $461,000. And this $461,000 is not being properly transferred. And there is a lot of negative balance or negative data is there, or the error balance. That means this 469 is not reflected in the closing the destination account. The money is completely lost, and this is being one of the worries that we need to think about. This is again a transaction that is a a money transfer, and a 0 is categorized as the, I would say, the cash outs. So as you see here, our tool, the way we have configured this tool for unsupervised, you bring your data. It's a easy navigation. You create the model, bring the data, test it out. Once it is done, this whole thing can be streamlined and integrated back into your systems. That means everything run behind the scenes, and the monitor, it will constantly monitor. And the moment the fraud scores are very negative, or in the very probability is the score is high, it has to pick up that as a fraud, and you can take actions right away. Everything can be, the whole pipeline can be automated. All these models are available as APIs, and you can take them and you can use them and call them as per your transactions. You can embed in your workflows. Similarly, we also have supervised models, and the supervised models also are meant for a purpose. So for example, we have different kinds of supervised models, online frauds, medical claims. We have one for telecom, prepaid and so forth. You can pick up those, and the system will tell what kind of data you need, and how to label, because the supervised models need the label data, what transaction is fraud and what transaction is not fraud. And the major difference with the supervised model is the train and validate. You need to train your model, and you can train this AI model with your data in this console right away, in this app right away. You need not to go to actual machine learning or data science platforms. You don't need a data scientist to do it. Once you train, you get a train and validate summary, and you get the scores, the precisions, and the accuracy report right away to make you feel better whether the model is performing as you anticipate or not. Then you go to the predictions. You can take a sample file for the prediction, and after the training is done, and you can start predicting the information that is required right away from this tool. And once you hit the prediction, the trained model is receiving the data and trying to understand your data and trying to produce the results. Depends upon the data volumes, it will start predicting. Generally what we have seen is one transaction by transaction goes, and it predicts within no time and give. Now, once the prediction happens, you can generate the actual results, and you can analyze those results right away from the data that is being predicted. So here again, this is a supervised model trying to having a summary of the entire transactions versus the prediction summary, and this is the anomalies that it detected, and the similar story goes like what I explained, how much money is being transferred, whether it is transferred properly or not, and so forth. This is what I'm showing is, so what we is to conclude this and summarize this, we have pre-built models and we have unsupervised models. The unsupervised model don't need any training, just bring the data, find out what data points you need, and let the model do the rest of the work. Supervised models, it's a predefined for certain industry sectors, for industry use cases. You can bring the data, and if anything fits in it, you can take advantage of it right away. They're all time tested, productionized, and being generating predictions with 95% accuracy. So in nutshell, this is how we simplified and helping our customers detecting the fraud. And oops, I will let me go back my presentation here. So that's about the RDRisk, and we are offering 2 weeks free. Bring your data, use it. Once you like it, if you want to productionize it, we build the entire pipeline all the way from your the transactions that are being generated, and it goes through our DRisk, and the inference that comes out, the output that comes out can be integrated back into your system for the further monitoring and fraud prevention. I hope you like what you have seen, and I will hand over to my colleague, Syed. Back to you.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you so much. Let us take the screen back now. I know this would have, this is really helpful with the live demo, Praveen. Thank you so much. The topic would have bring up a lot of questions. We could already see that the questions are coming in. Some are addressed directly. So I'll address the direct question as well as the indirect questions, and we'll find out who is the speaker who can answer this. But let me take it through the questionnaire. So the first question is to you, Jeff. What is the topmost threat source point for you from customer, vendor, and internal organization side?
So thank you for the question. You know, I think that the most common threat source is phishing, and that impacts us both from a customer, vendor, and internal organization perspective.
Thank you, Jeff. And especially in these days when we are getting all the phishing calls and online frauds, yeah, that's really on point. There is a question to Praveen. What is the AI machine learning method that we are using for DRisk? Praveen, that's for you.
Yeah, we are using variety of models, combination of models. So for unsupervised, we use a suite of unsupervised models, and we compare the model management engine, compare the scores against various and varieties of models to pick up whether there is a strength in the risk score. So that is where we excelled. So otherwise, we use all kinds of unsupervised models, be it isolation forest or anything that that goes in that, like one class SVM and DB scan and many models that is already available. Where we differ and differentiate is we compare all these things and then give the score that has high probability that it is a fraud. And when it comes to the supervised models, we use XGBoost and other deep learning models to make it make it more accurate. But to answer one question, there is no one fit model for for the solutions that we are offering. It's a combinations where we are able to crack it for different scenarios.
Okay, thanks. On the same lines, there's one more question which asks from the integration side. So, can DRisk integrate with ERP and other FI system, Praveen?
Yes, ERP can be heavily integrated into. We have about 200 connectors. It can be integrated into online transaction systems or system of records, financial systems, and we have the capability to pick up them as and when those transactions are happening. So the streaming is part of the solution, and that has been already taken into our entire SaaS framework.
Sure. Thanks, Praveen. Jeff, this is the question to you. If we compare the predictive and preventive, so what is the costliest affair from the risk side?
So I think from the risk side, the biggest challenge is separating the signal to noise. So being able to prevent, you've got to be able to identify what do you really need to focus on, and I think that's where when I talk about the broadening and deepening the detection capabilities, I think that's the critical thing to be focused on with the AI applied to the analysis, so that we can identify the frauds and therefore prevent them.
Thanks. There is something again on similar line for you. What are the top fraud scenarios that you expect in the finance industry, Jeff?
I mean, with digital, it's all about checking, mitigating any sort of payments or credit card fraud. So they're the most
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah. Okay. There is one random question. It's not been answered by anyone, but I'll give it to you, Jeff. Can you define an anomaly in the financial transaction? Like how we can figure that out? Define an anomaly in a financial transaction. I think this can be answered by Praveen too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the demo gave some examples of anomalies, and anomalies may or may not be fraud, right? So you've got to do further investigation to determine if something is fraud, right, or if something was just a failure.
Right. Thanks, Jeff. This is more like a deployment question. So Praveen, the question is for you. What are the different deployment options for DRisk? We are concerned on the data security and privacy part. So we prefer it to be deployed on on-premise, our own on-premise system. Since you have mentioned it as a software as a service product, will this work?
That's a good question. So we have two deployment options. The one that which is very popular is SaaS, where companies need not to invest on their framework, and these our SaaS products run on popular cloud, public cloud, which has data privacies and encryptions and everything in place. But still, if it is not meeting a organization's requirement, then we also have option to deploy these models on the organization's private cloud or on their on-premise data center, environment, whichever that is. So both are possible, but we are recommending to go on to the SaaS because that is where these models are constantly learning, becoming better and better, and all those advantages comes to the can be passed to the company or the customers, I would say.
Thanks, Praveen. On the similar line again, there is one more question on the cloud provider. So our current cloud provider is Oracle. So can we deploy DRisk on top of it?
Yes, it can be deployed on top of it, but only the point of caution there is if you are looking for real-time fraud detection and other high-speed monitoring and everything, that has to be looked into. How your Oracle cloud framework is designed for it and what kind of services you have. But we, as a SaaS, we have all that set up. We are equipped for real-time fraud detection and online streaming of data and capturing the anomalies right and when they're happening. So if you don't have that kind of scenarios, if you just want to deploy a model on any cloud, that is possible.
Thanks again, Praveen. So this is a straightforward question. How do you identify a right and a wrong transaction in RDRisk?
Right and wrong transaction, that is a very good question. So there are two ways that we are doing. For supervised modeling, the business will come with a data set saying that this transaction is good transaction, this transaction is bad transaction. We call it as a fraud labeling. That means the business is already identified the data and we're telling that, hey, this is how the frauds are happening. This is how we are differentiating. Based on that, our models will learn and predict. That is one option. The other option is unsupervised learning, right? Where you don't have the data labeled. You only know certain data points. You only know certain trends, right? When you have a scatter plot and have a data distribution, just looking at it, and you know that that time period there should be no legitimate transactions, but there are still transactions happening. Just your intuition that is in. So based on what the data points you take, the unsupervised model are smart enough to detect which transactions are possibly fraud and or there are anomalies or outliers versus which transactions are looking normal, and it gives a score. And that is how we start in the beginning. As and when we understand the data, and the SMEs will come and validate and say, yes, the model is doing right, I can take it, I can I think this is correct, and we give the feedback to the model saying that that is correct. If the model is not right, that feedback is also given, and that is how the noise will be removed and making it better and better. Once it reached to a agreed accuracy levels, maybe 90%, 95%, whatever that is, then the system will start telling you this is a good transaction, this is a fraud transaction. So that is the process we go through. And this process generally, traditionally, is being done by the machine learning engineers and highly skillful data scientists and sitting with the SMEs. Now we are trying to democratize that process, making this whole thing is available for directly to the SMEs, directly to the industry experts, making the data science, taking the data science effort and simplifying it and putting in the hands of the direct end users or the power users. That is the attempt we are trying to make with this. The speed is the essence, because you're losing money every day with this. The more you get to it and understand your anomalies and understand how to take actions, that means you are saving your not only the money, the credibility. That is the attempt we are trying to make here.
Thanks, Praveen. There is a last question, but I think it is actually a multiple question. So it says like, hope all the payment gateway companies are already installed with their security layer. If so, then how is this product going to add value? And what is the type of API that we are using? And how is the pricing?
I'm sorry, can you repeat? There are a lot of questions in one question. Can you?
Yeah, let me break it down. So yeah, let me break it down again. So the question is, I mean, right now, all the payment gateway companies are already installing, with their security layers. So how is this product going to add value? And then what is the type of API that we're using?
Type of API. These are all the REST APIs. And it can be called in any environment, in any programming environment, or any it can be managed by any API management system. So that covers that. This is the most advanced REST APIs that you can see. Now, when it comes to the security layers on the payment transactions and so forth, our interfaces work with those security layers. We are already doing work for financial institutions today, and other sophisticated insurance claim institutions. They all come with tight firewalls, and they also come with these multi-layer securities and everything. So we have these special, I would say, interfaces that we have developed to deal with those, to exchange the data, to handshake the information, and get only the information that is required, because there is a lot of the personal information also embedded for the credit card transactions, and anything that is your social security numbers and all that stuff. We don't need all those things. We ask the customer mask all this information. Not even in certain cases, we are not even get the account numbers. For example, for the financial transactions, we don't even have the account numbers. We don't even have your insurance IDs and everything. All we have is the data points, which are just enough to detect whether it is anomaly or not. Therefore, passing through these additional security layers and are justifiable, and we work with the customers that in such a way that none of their sophisticated information is actually exposed to DRisk at all. And that is one important thing. The other important thing is we don't store any data. Once it is live, the model is live, the API just read that information, give the inference, and give the credit score, and everything will happen after the fact. So we don't store any data, and our the cloud tenants are open for auditing at any given point of time. They can come and audit and see if there is anything is left over. So the whole framework is designed in such a way it is the process and generate the inference and deliver to the monitoring system that to take the further actions.
Follow Maury Tech on LinkedIn. Visit mauritech.com.